Welcome to VLearn. This is session 1 of Database Management System. In this session, we are going to cover introduction, objectives, file-oriented approach, database basics, 3 views of data, 3-level architecture of DBMS, mapping between different levels, element of database management system, data definition language, data manipulation language, DML pre-compiler, DDL compiler, file manager, database manager, query processor, database administrator, data dictionary, and advantages, disadvantages of DBMS. Introduction. First of all, what is database management system? Data is a raw fact and material which can have some meaning or may not be meaning, and database is collection of data. Database management system is a complete collection of data in a systematically way. So here is database management system, and sometimes it's called database manager, and program that let one and more user to access data in the database. Now, how the database user, why to use database? Database manager use user request so that the user and other program are free to having to understand where the data is physically located and how to fetch data from the database. File-oriented approach versus database approach. What is file-oriented approach? There is before the DBMS there was some file-oriented data in which we are not easy to fetch the data from the database because there was, in this document data was not predefined. Here we do not able to easily manipulate data, insert data. Now we use the DBMS because this is the central approach and there are some rules through which we can easily insert and update data. So file is stored data as document type. We don't have give here particular data type of data. That's I already told you what we do in the flat file. But in database system there are specified structure of data store. First we have to make format with a particular data type of data, then which will store in it. Now the file has no record system, which while the database system store data in the record. Now it is easy to maintain. As I told you, in the flat file there was no data type and not a proper central procedure through which we can easily insert and update data. But in database system we can easily center control the data and manage the data easily and maintain data. Next, there are the 3 views of data. One is the external view, second conceptual view, and third is internal view. The external view is there where the user like to access the data. So this is the highest level of abstraction because at this level we cannot view what is in the conceptual view and internal view. These are the hidden in this external level view. This is the highest level of abstraction as seen by user. This level of abstraction described by the only part of entire database. Like here we are the user, we don't know how to internally data store and how this is all managed, but we can use the data as per required. Conceptual view is the middle level which can be linked with the internal level as well as external view. In the conceptual view there is the abstraction of only with the internal level. It describes what are the data actually stored in database. This level contains information about entire database in terms of small number of relatively simple structure. And in internal level it contains the physical structure where is the actually stored. This is called a lowest level of abstraction at which one describe how data is physically stored. It contains the actual location where is data stored. The interrelationship of any 3 level of abstraction is illustrated in the image here. Now there are the 2 level architecture of DBMS. One is the physical data level and the second is the conceptual data level. In the physical level we describe how data is physically stored and the location are mentioned in the physical data level, and the conceptual level contain the how they are conceptually linked and the logically data are linked with each other. This is the on the conceptual data level. So what to say, the physical level I say you how the data is physically stored and the location. Physical schema describe detail of how data is stored in the file, indices and all this etc. On the random access disk system, it's also typically describe the record layout of file and type of file, patch file, B, tree, flat, and this is the format where the data is physically stored. Really, earlier application worked at this level, but actually dealt with the details like example minimizing physical distance between related and data organizing structure. Now the conceptual data level. Also at the conceptual I told you that there is the logical level where the all data is tell how they are logically related. Here in this relation model, the conceptual schema present data as a set of table. They are logical view of the tables, and DBMS maps data access between the conceptual to physical system schemas automatically. There are some rules through which we can easily work with this the physical level. We enter the data logically and it work on the physical level. Physical schema can be changed without changing applications. DBMS must change mapping from conceptual to physical, because at the conceptual level we apply the some logics and which are physically stored at the location, and here the physical data is independence in DBMS through which we can easily access data. Now the external data level. In the external data level, I told you there is the user through which can view the data as per required, and the data in term of conceptual it tolerate the need of particular category of the user, and partition of stored data should not be seen by some user and begin to implement the level of security with the simplified view of this user. This diagram represents how the these three views are linked. You say this is the internal schema and the conceptual schema. There is the external component mapping through this linking of the schemas and how the data is to be inserted, and this is the mapping where the data is actually stored by the help of conceptual level. The element of database management system are this which we use are the database schema, schema object, indexes, tables, field and column, record and rows, keys, relationship and data type. This element we use in the database management system. As what is database schema? Database schema is one overall design of database structure is called database schema. Example, the lecturer will go in the classroom, only the part of database schema, that is the attendance register. And I would like to tell you what is the schema object. Schema objects are the logical structure created by the user. Here the object may be defined in the area of database to hold the data, such as table or indexes, or may consist such just of the definitions of these elements. These are the elements which we will use in the database like table, field, column, record and rows, keys, relationship and data types. Next is the term of data definition language. That is in the short we use DDL. Data definition language is basically contain overall the structure of the table. It work whatever we are going to some editing in the column we work on the structure of table, then we use DDL. DDL that describe the portion of SQL that allow you to create, alter and destroy database object. This database object includes schema, table, views, sequence, catalog, index and aliases. Like SQL is the structured query language through which we can use the database easily insert, update and delete from the table. These are the DDL commands like to create, alter, drop and truncate. This query work in the DDL structure of the table. Next is the DML, that is data manipulation language. When we work in table to enter some data, to work on the data, we use the DML queries to manipulate the data basically. So some commands this we use in the DML are the insert, update, delete and merge. But as there are some processing to access your data is the required DDL compiler. DDL compiler is what to do. DDL compiler is data description language compiler which here translate the specific DDL instruction. It include metadata information such as the name of file, data item and storage detail. And DML compiler and the query optimizer is which is translate DMS statement into a query language into an evaluation plan consisting of low-level instruction, and that query evaluate engine understand. So here we use the work DML queries like updating, inserting, and deleting. Then after the DML queries is passed to the data manager. Data manager role is the central software component of the DBMS, also known as database control system. Database administrator. The role of database administrator is to manage the data, and it also provides the authentication to the user which can use the data and access data. So these are the some roles that can manage by the database administrator. And the database administrator also work at the conceptual level, as last I told you. These are the rules that define of the administrative level, like data policies and procedures standard that is maintained by the database administrator, and the planning how to manage the data and where to location to be stored and cost benefit model. These are handled at the database administrator level. Data conflict to be resolution, where the data can be conflict and through which data cannot be easily accessed, that can be also handled by the administrative level. And data analysis, define and model data requirement, business rule, operational requirement, and maintain corporate data dictionary. Data dictionary is the handled by the database administrator or designer only. Next is the internal marketing of database administrator concept and managing the data repository. Next is the query processor. Query processor is closely related with the storage engine through you use the DDL query and DML query to access on the data. So this query processor actually match your syntax of the data you are entering. Here the query was a concept SQL syntax select plan, executing the syntax and executing quotient plan. This user or program interact with the query processor, and query processor in turn interact with the storage engine. So the query processor isolate your detailed execution, the user specify result, and query processor determine how the result is obtained. Suppose you apply the insert query on the database, then the query process match the syntax you enter in the database to insert the query. Is it correct or not? If the syntax will be correct, then it will be execute query, otherwise it will give the error. Next is the data dictionary. Data dictionary is contain information about the data. Data dictionary is data structure that store metadata. That is the only use, I told you this, it's used by only designer or administrator, not by the all user. Data dictionary contains the following information like logical structure of database, schemas, mapping and constraint, description about application program, description of record type, data item type, and data aggregate in the database, description about physical database engine such as storage structure and access path, description about user of DBMS and their access rights. These are the some exercises through which you can do on above summaries, and these are the what advantage and disadvantage of their database and what is the difference between DDL and DML command. That's all for thank you this session.